This is WNTV, 7x9 TV. Thanks for watching. We have today our station Lester de Souza. Lester de Souza is a successful lawyer in the province of Ontario, and today is our guest in WNTV, 7x9 TV, and he will talk about some legal issues about the immigration system and also the school system, how the parents being treated sometimes, the children too, and if they do it properly and behave properly either at the school and also the newcomers to Canada. So, Lester, welcome to WNTV 7x9 TV.
Thank you, Gustavo.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You know?
My pleasure.
Well, thanks for coming. And so, there is several issues, that probably we have started about the happiness at our schools, that sometimes parents go to the school, I don't know, there is some stuff, at the entrance, main doors of the school, and they're waiting right there as well, and they're not dressed as a security or police or anything like that, just like a civilian people, probably most of the time ladies, but they are studying all the time, like that, like oh my goodness, who is coming or who is there, So the question is, should our schools be treated as police stations or military bases? So legally, or is that correct, or there is something weird in that behavior in the school system? What do you think?
Thank you, Gustavo. The schools today have a difficult job. The schools are in charge of the children in the place of the parents, and the parents are not there. So they have to look after your children and the other children so that they are safe and they can achieve what they're going to school for. To do that in today's world, it is a little complicated. Now, they need to make it so that the kids can have fun, can learn and be safe. Sometimes that comes a little bit difficult for maintaining safety and security. So looking after security and making it fun is difficult.
So then you believe that this is correct? It is correct to have people studying at the parents when they come in, dropping the children at school? Is that right? Correct? Like
Some parents
people doing that, and studying all the time, and you really don't even know, you're not really aware of who those people there, staring at you, and especially if we are, let's say, newcomers, we are immigrants, that we're mixing actually that topic today, as well. So, is that correct? No, there's not something bias right there, like a prejudice because your background, because the place you come from, your culture or something. So, if we match that together, so is that right?
You bring up a very important point, because the Canadian system is different from the way it is in other parts of the world. So, in trying to adjust to the Canadian system, it is a complicated matter. For people who are new immigrants, learning how the local system works can be overwhelming. So it's difficult sometimes, especially when you don't know anybody, to know what's the right thing to do, what is expected, where to go, and how to even participate in a way that will be helpful. People have the best intentions, but sometimes the intentions connected with how things happen are not always connected. So for immigrants that are not familiar, one thing I would recommend is for the parents to actually talk to the staff, talk to the teachers, so that they get to know, the teachers get to know you.
Yeah, so in other words, you consent, let's say, this behavior, and that's attitude.
What I'm saying is the attitude or the behavior is affected by how well they know you. So if teachers know you, then when they see you, they know, oh, there's Gustavo, and there's Gustavo's kids, and so everything is okay. But where the teachers have a problem is if they don't know people, then the stranger comes in, they don't know, is this a risk to Gustavo's kids or not?
Yeah, but how about when they are ready, the parents are already, let's say, a kids that are already being there for 5 years, and they keep it doing the same thing over and over and over, like they facing you every time they come in, you come in, you know, and then you come, and then they're staring at you like, you know. How you feel? Is that good? You feel, the thing is that legal? Is that legal? And this is the way attitude, and this the behavior with those who born here and believe that this is their land and they have their rights, you know, is justified attitude for people of different background and different culture. Is justified that attitude doing that for over and over and over, year after year and day after day. Is that justified attitude? Or and legally, you as a lawyer, so Lester Souza is a lawyer, so he knows probably I believe also the legal issues involved as well. You know, if they're acting accordingly or is a breach into the system, a breach in the education system, a breach also the school board system. You know, so
the. Legally speaking, they have an obligation to keep the kids safe. So they ought to be legally looking at and making sure the security is good. There's a difference between security and attitude.
That's the thing.
And the attitude is more in the mind. It is
attitude. I believe comes from prejudice with attitudes like dislikes. You know, I like you, I don't like you. You know, things like that.
Yeah,
I'm wrong. I'm right.
There is who you like and who you don't like is the personal thing. So that is very difficult for the legal system to regulate. Some of that has to come from the person. So if the person is trying to, what I would like to see is people who are extending hospitality. So for hospitality to happen, to welcome others is everybody's responsibility. Sometimes politically, people say who is a long-time resident or someone who's a new immigrant. For me, that is not important. I must be hospitable whether I came today or yesterday or 100 years ago.
That's the point. You see, Because you see, when we then relate also to immigration, also to the country as well, and you talk about hospitality, maybe you agree as well that they're supposed to behave not only when you come to the country, you know that they welcome you, welcome policy, this is your gift, this is that, take this, take that. When you come also legally to the country, when you come, in other words, through the door, because if you don't come through the door, you come through the window, well, I guess you're gonna face also the legal system. You know better,
Yes.
no? You will end up in jail, isn't it?
Yes.
You know? So, the thing is, that hospitality, will you be agree that should be kept forever? If you come to the country, they welcome you once you come through the door, in other words, legally. That hospitality should keep it today, tomorrow, and, as you said, 100 years later. In other words, until we die.
Yes. And for me, hospitality is a matter of spirituality.
Mario spirituality.
Because the spirituality is what invites people to become part of a community. And the schools are trying to create a community, or have very important role to play in creating Canadian community. Now, how that happens will depend on everybody. So for me, there's a different laws and rules. There are good rules and bad rules. So a good rule is one that builds people up.
That's the thing.
A bad rule is one that causes damage.
That's the thing. And thanks for touching the point. You see? Because it's exactly the situation. They create sometimes policies, by laws, legislation, and all the time to protect who?
That's a very good question.
See?
So
To protect who?
Exactly. Yes.
It's not for the mass population.
So this is a question.
You see?
And the people that make the policies and how they implement the policies, sometimes the best of intention can come out completely opposite when you do it. Because I want to do something good, I want to be helpful, but what I do causes harm. Sometimes that is because I don't know whether what I'm doing is in fact being helpful. Mm-hmm. So I may want to be helpful, but if I am actually helpful is a different question.
That's the thing. Because especially in politics, especially politics, because politicians are the ones who are making the laws, regulations, bylaws, all the policies between brackets, and exactly as you said, probably those laws, they cause more harm than nothing else. In other words, they're trying to be politically correct, but for their own party or for their own group of interest, So they're not really doing it for the mass population, and in this case, the specific topics, the immigrants, or behaviors also, like when we start the conversation, the attitude of staring at you, 2 or 3 people just at the door, even outside this door, staring at you like that all the time, watching you, watching you. Who you are? Where you come from? Huh? Is that correct? Do you think? So we mix everything together.
Yes.
So are the policies, the regulations, and the legal system properly made?
you raise a very important question, which I would encourage people in this system. It is very important to participate. In some places, or where people may have had
participation.
Exactly. Is the politicians or whoever makes the rules is responsive to people who participate.
Should be.
Well, they in fact have to. The difficulty is, especially with new immigrants, they're very busy trying to establish themselves. They're working hard, sometimes 2-3 jobs. They have the kids to look after, and there's too many things to do, only so much time. And there is difficulty then in participating in ways that will get them results. So it is helpful, I think, for a show like this to help people to actually know where to participate. What participation gives you better results, because there are so many things to do. And we have to make priorities.
Yes.
So the priorities, when you're in a new context, in a new country, if you use the same priorities from wherever you came from, sometimes it doesn't match. So how somebody acts, doesn't act, there are problems. And we need to address those problems. But how to address those problems, if you don't know where the resources are, then you don't know how to get the results you want. And sometimes people want to make things better, but they end up causing problems because they do the wrong things or things that don't produce the right results.
So then, going back again to attitudes. So do you think these attitudes should be keep it or avoid it or get to the school system, or this help really into the security and safety of the children's, or really is absolutely should it be there and should it be that?
From the legal perspective, the rules and the laws actually are more important in practice. The attitudes are on top of the laws. So
the attitude on top of the laws.
Yes.
Remember that the attitude on top of the laws.
Because even if you have a good law with a bad attitude, is going to be a problem. And you can have a bad law with a good attitude that can actually make a better result. But what we want are good laws and good attitudes.
But we're talking as well, remember that we're talking too about if that laws are protecting all or just a certain portion of the population. So the attitude, sometimes obviously are going to come with the laws, because there is laws that not necessarily are in your benefit and my benefit.
Right.
You see?
So the good laws are the laws that are good for everybody. If there are laws that are good for some and not for the others, that's not a very good law.
That's what I think the politicians, the entire system also should be analyzed, research properly when create the laws.
Yes.
You know, if this law really, well, you're the lawyer. but I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't like
Yeah.
it. No, but is this law is really is going to benefit this block, this village, this town, this country? You know, that's what the politicians.
Yes, and the system here is complex. You see, in Canada we have what they call the rule of law.
The rule of law.
The supreme authority is the law, which is a little bit abstract.
Okay.
The problem is, the good part about that is the rule of law, the law is neutral. It applies to everybody. The difficult part is who is making the laws.
That's the thing.
So, if we do not participate in the creation of the laws, then the laws are not going to be very good. So the politicians cannot be left alone to make the laws. Where we need are people who form a community, and as the community gets strength and grows together, then the rules within the community become important for the politicians as well as for the system.
But
The difficulty is when everybody, from my experience in Canada, people who are too isolated. When
people
you're
are too
alone,
isolated. Huh?
when you're alone and nobody else knows you, then your interests don't get looked after.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, one of the important documents that you need in Canada is what's called a power of attorney for personal care.
Which one?
Power of attorney
Oh,
for personal care.
yeah, yeah, okay.
That is a document that most people in Canada don't have.
Power of attorney for personal care.
Yes.
Power of attorney. Remember that because today we have a Lester de Souza. He's a lawyer in the province of Ontario, and he talking about also between the subject those documents and legally tender things as well that you're supposed to know, and I supposed to know too. So, power of attorney for personal things, for personal
Care.
care. Remember?
Personal care is about looking after your health. So, if you are alone, you look after your own health. But if anything happens to you, who is going to look after your health? For somebody else to have the authority to look after your health, you need this power of attorney. You have to give the power to somebody so that they can make decisions to look after your health. It is like insurance. If you don't have it before you need it, when you need it, it's too late. So, if I don't give somebody the authority to look after me, when I can do it, after I am unable to do it, then you can't do it.
Okay.
Then it becomes expensive and complicated because a court can give the power, but to go to court and get the order that you need is expensive, takes time.
Okay.
So, if you want to look after yourself, this is why it's very important to have people who can help you.
And I think that everybody should have it, no?
Yes.
Start from which age? I think
At all ages.
which since people start
Yes.
since born.
Yes.
Or
Because
people
you
should
see,
have a personal power of attorney.
because even when there are parents with their kids, sometimes the parents say, okay, I'll have power of attorney for my care, but if something happens to me as a parent, who is going to look after my kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
You need the kids to be looked after. For that, if I cannot do it as a parent, who is going to do that? So now in the schools, they will have it in the school, but coming and going from school, if somebody picks the child up from school and you cannot do it, who is going to do it? So somebody has to have authority to do that. If you don't give somebody the authority, then the school has a problem, you have a problem, and your child is not happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, and I believe you're right, especially with you're the lawyer, so you know very well. But how to change those attitudes? Then now, okay, going back again, that we spoke about, or you spoke basically about the power of attorney, personal power of attorney. What people should do, or should people maintain attitudes?
Yes.
For immigrants, you know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we actually mixing today the topics. It's not only the power of attorney; it's also the immigration, newcomers, and the education system. You know, all just in this conversation, and it happens only in WNTV, 7X9 TV. And thank you for our guest, Lester de Souza. So, how people change those attitudes?
One of the most important things, I think, is for people to understand, which I think everybody does, is that I cannot do everything. Mm-hmm. If I cannot do everything, then who am I going to be part of? Who is going to help me? And who is going to help me to do what? So this is where I like the idea of a team.
Yeah.
So
team.
What I am
unity, solidarity.
Exactly.
Unity, solidarity.
So you need a team of people to look after different things.
Yeah.
And that team, as it gets bigger, becomes a community.
Mm-hmm.
But as a single individual, I don't know everything.
That's right.
And I cannot do everything.
You're right. But that's when also, when you're talking about team as well, is when really the community, those who are already here, supposed to team out, you know.
Exactly.
Like the
when you came
hockey team, like a hockey or soccer team, you know.
Yes.
And then you're supposed to know and want to do a good play, make goals.
Exactly.
And become the goalie. You have to know your partners. You have to know.
You have to know who to pass the ball to.
Exactly.
And where is this person going to be in the team, so that when I can pass, once you have practice, you can pass the ball without looking, and you know somebody will be there.
And that happens because they're working as a team. You know each other.
Exactly.
They know each other, and they in solidarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're working together.
Correct.
So if we apply those rules in immigration, in education, and the school system, so nobody is gonna watch you like, oh, who is coming there? Who is, you know, I don't know these people. They come from different country, different place. You know, who? It's not the case.
So
no?
if you're on the same team, then you will treat each other well.
What we have to do probably is try to understand culture.
Yes.
To understand people.
Yes.
I believe, you know what, public relations. People, you know, in the education system should have public relations first to become teachers. You know, because they deal with the public, right? Huh? They deal with the public, they deal with parents, they deal with teachers, you know, and all, you know, people, all mentalities.
Everything these days is getting more complicated.
Yeah.
the teachers need to be good at the subject that they're teaching.
Right.
They need to be good at looking after the kids. They also need to be good at talking to the parents. And the parents must understand that I leave my kid at the school, my responsibility is not finished. I am still, as a parent, supposed to keep in touch with the teacher so that the teacher and me together can then look after the child. Because when the child leaves the school is not there to look after the child. Who is there? It's my responsibility. So if I don't know what the school is saying, I don't know what to say to the kids. So the kids then say things to me that maybe the teacher didn't say. Or maybe the kids are telling me that the teacher should know. That if the child is having a bad day about something, if the teacher knows that, they can adjust it. But if the kid is saying that, I'm having difficulty with this thing, sometimes it's easier for the child to talk to the parent.
Well, probably you're right, but remember that kids are kids, all the time. I consider them angels as well. Kids are angels. But I have noticed also personally as well that teachers have no patience, eh? When you go, so I don't give exactly legally that they are really responsible for the kids, and therefore they have to be policing also besides being a teacher, policing and put regulations. Don't move here, don't sing here, don't stand here. Man, if the kids are they go to school because this is supposed to be an environment or recreational environment or happiness of maybe a spiritual too, as you said before too, I mentioned that word, something like that they feel good, they go sing, they learn, they play, but you know what? We have information and we have good resources too, and direct resources. The teachers interfering directly from the students, 3, 4, 5 years old, they don't want even to stand sometimes, just because the kids sometimes want to stretch their legs, sometimes they want to move a little bit. So they won't even let them to move. It says, sit down, sit, don't do this, don't do that. So what? Do you get them to a military base? Do you put your children to a police station? Or is that right? Or shouldn't be there, that things, Because teachers shouldn't interfere in the behavior of children, because parents at school have taught them differently, Probably it's different education. And the education of the parent is not the education of the teacher, and vice versa. So that's the things that they're supposed to consider and understand as well,
In my observation, from many years being in the schools, the discipline issue and behavior in the schools here in Canada are actually more tolerant than what I grew up with. When I was in school...
But sorry to interrupt you, Lester. You grew up in different environments.
Exactly.
And geographically talking.
Yes.
I'm wrong also?
No, that's correct. Yes.
Well, it's not personal, eh?
No. But
So, of course, there is different culture, different environment, different city, different country.
Yes. So this is the reality in Canada, you see. Like you were saying, the parents have had different experiences, and the people coming from other places have other experiences. We're all coming with different experiences. So to get a common result, it's to value everybody's experiences, but then for it to come together, it needs communication.
Right.
Without communication,
Communication. That's the word today too. Communication.
absolutely. Without that, there is
No communication, no understanding.
correct.
Huh?
Correct.
So how I will know what you want and what you want from me if you don't give me the opportunity also, to me to know you or you to know me, you know, and,
Exactly.
and that's starting also with good morning, good
Yeah.
afternoon, hi, how are you?
Yes,
Am I correct or wrong?
very much.
Very much.
And that
very
is
much wrong, very much correct.
very much correct, because without the opportunity, there's no hospitality.
Yes.
Without no hospitality, there's no spirituality.
That's it.
So these are all parts of each other,
Yes.
and these are all personal rules plus society's rules, which together become a legal system. And when my personal rules and your personal rules and your personal rules, if we can talk about that and communicate, then we can also be open and extend hospitality to each other. Then we can begin to grow and form a community. Then we have a team that is playing the same game. Otherwise, everybody's playing their own game and nothing is happening together. That is the worst solution for the kids.
Okay.
So, for the kids to benefit, it needs everybody working together.
Okay.
And so, communication and giving each other opportunity to communicate
Working together and communicate.
is very critical.
Okay.
So, yes, the teachers should give the parents an opportunity to communicate. There are supposed to be parent-teacher meetings, at least a couple of times a year. These are requirements. Now, those meetings by themselves, I am telling you, is not enough. You need to not, at least do that, but that is too little.
Well, sometimes I believe that parents are very much busy, some parents, you know.
Yes.
And then when it comes to, communication is good in terms of actually children, you know. But remember, there is a bridge right there when you already know that probably certain person, let's say the teacher, is different background, and then is putting too much regulation, too much restriction into the child. How, and you being a different background, either how that communication can be done. See, so I believe we should really understand each other, because let's say I am from this, you are from this part of the world, I am from this part of the world, and then we come together. Of course, there is backgrounds into spiritually and physically, basically spiritually and mentally, and you, and then how we can relate that mentality,
Yeah.
that culture, and that background. See, sometimes it's maybe a thing or an issue that we both sides should work. You know,
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
because when one person feel in position of power, overpower the other party.
Yes.
You know, that's maybe something we have
Yes.
to
And,
be aware
and,
of that.
and as a new immigrant, sometimes there is a feeling, because of the experiences, that one has no power. This is a mistake. it is not that one has no power. It is one does not know where the power is from. So it is like this room. If I don't know where the light switch is, I may walk around in the dark and say there's no power. But if I know where the switch is, I have to only turn it on.
Right.
So, handicap for a new immigrant.
Right.
Because in this society, where you find what is not the same as where I came from. And so, part of the job of immigrants as well as people who have been here is to understand that not everybody knows where everything is. So, if this is my house and you are the visitor or the newcomer, I should tell you, the light switch is there. So then you know where to put it on.
Right.
But if I don't tell you little things like that, then you won't know. So I'll give you an example. When I first came, my uncle, who has been here before, one day just told me, when people here say, would you like to do something? He is not actually asking you, would you like to? It means do it.
Oh.
Now, when I grew up, if somebody said, would you like to do something? I would have thought, well, would you like to? Yes or no. Yeah? But when I was at work and my boss said, would you like to move those boxes from there to there? I started laughing because fortunately my uncle had told me he doesn't actually asking you a question. He's saying, move the boxes from here to there. So fortunately, if I said no, which is why do I want to move the boxes?
Yeah, you're in
then
trouble.
Exactly. I get fired.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you don't tell the boss, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But a little thing like that made a difference. Sometimes people who have been here a long time don't realize that the new person actually doesn't know things that I do without thinking. So
yeah, that's true. That's that ironically, and that comes also from bad attitude too.
And I as a long-term resident.
Actually, sorry,
Yes.
actually that comes as a, you see, when you say also people, when somebody comes and those who are here, they do attitude that they do without knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that comes also when it comes to racism.
Yes.
And discrimination. People,
So, yes.
people probably on a daily basis discriminating others intentionally or unintentionally.
Well,
But it's a matter of education too, education. Because where you comes from, what I mean is, what education do they have? Or what education do we have? So that's the thing. The more open you are, the more you will understand the other party.
it's about it's thinking about the other person. And if I think about what you need, then I will think about what I should give you. But if I'm only thinking about me, then I don't give you what you need. And to me, that is too much of that. A lot of the problems we have in this world are because there's too many people have learned to think me first.
Ego.
So if I think of me and not we, then of course there is no team.
Yeah.
And if there's no team in today's world, we cannot solve the problem.
And me means greediness.
Yes.
Selfishness. Me means greediness, selfishness. But when we think about others,
Yeah.
we think about community. I think about you, you think about me. So we are in solidarity commitment,
Yeah.
you know, and then we help each other and and try to understand each other.
And we are on the same team. So if we are on the same team, what we can do is to help each other. It actually makes a team better.
The point.
So it's not enough for me to be a star, but if I can make you a star, and we are together good, then together we are much better than individuals.
Together we are stars.
Exactly.
So everybody's a star.
Exactly.
Everybody shine.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, in our studios, this Lester de Souza, lawyer from the province of Ontario, and thanks for being here today. You know,
Thank you.
you know, we hope you are here again for us in another time.
And we hope we can build the community, build a team.
Thank you very much, Lester.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Good evening.